Hey guys, Quackers Clocks here with another set of NFL predictions. This time it's week 17. So there are some playoff implications this week and next week that we'll go over, and week 16 aftermath. So the New York Jets, coming off a win against the Washington Commanders at 6-9, take on the Cleveland Browns, who are 10-5 and are coming off a big win against the Houston Texans. Face off tonight, and this has good. The Jets are already eliminated from the playoffs, so they have nothing to play for. But for the Browns, they have playoff implications. This is a win and in game. If the Browns win this game, they are in the dance, and they clinch a playoff spot. At 11-5, this puts the Jets at 6-10. The Browns all they need to do is win this game, and they're in the playoffs. But the Jets are already eliminated from the playoffs, so they have nothing to play for. So I'm picking the Browns to win this game against the Jets. Puts them in playoff contention. The Saturday, we have the Detroit Lions take on the Dallas Cowboys. This is in place of Monday Night Football. So I am picking the Lions here. This puts them in contention for the number 1 seed. They clinched a playoff spot already with a win over the Vikings. They also clinched home field advantage. And as for the Cowboys, they lost to the Miami Dolphins and are currently 10-5. But this puts the Cowboys at 10-6 and the Lions at 12-4. This also helps Philadelphia, as they are eager to win the NFC East 2 times in a row. So I think, because they can win the NFC East with a win and a Cowboys loss. So, there's big implications there. And this can also, and I think they can go up in the rankings, go up in the seedings, if San Francisco also loses. So, actually, no, because because they need San Francisco to lose and Philly to win and Dallas to lose in order to try and get the number 1 seed. So, but San Francisco can clinch with Philadelphia, Dallas, and Detroit losses, I think. So, big playoff implications for this game, but I am picking the Lions to overcome the Dallas Cowboys. This puts them at 12-4, and as for the Cowboys, they are will be 10-6. The Tennessee Titans take on the Houston Texans. This is big for AFC South implications, especially for Jacksonville. But the Texans, I'm picking the Texans to win this game. This puts them at 9-7, and as for the Titans, this puts them at 5-11. Note that there are 17 games this season, not 16, so, usually this would be the last week of the season, but it's not. So, the Texans will be 9-7, the Titans will be 5-11, the Texans will still be in contention for the AFC South title, possibly a wild card spot as well if Indy also ends up losing. But I am going with the Texans here over the Titans. This puts them at 9-7. The Titans 5-11. The Atlanta Falcons take on the Chicago Bears. I am going with the Bears here, which is a surprising pick because I would have picked the Falcons if they were actually very good, but they're not. So I think this eliminates them from the playoffs as well, but the Bears are still alive in the playoff hunt. But if the Bears lose, they're out. So they have a slim chance at making the playoffs, but only if they win out. So I'm all in for the chaos. I'm picking the Bears over the Falcons here. This puts them at 7, both teams at 7-9. And I think it eliminates the Falcons. So, yeah. I'm picking the Bears. The Miami Dolphins take on the Baltimore Ravens. I am picking the Dolphins here. Actually, this is going to be a really good game. The Ravens currently have the best record in the NFL at 12-3. And the Dolphins are right behind them. This would make the chances for the number 1 seed a little bit I would say just slim for the Miami Dolphins, but if they win, I don't think they clinch the number 1 seed. If the Ravens win, they clinch the number 1 seed. As for the Dolphins, this would put them at 12-4. Both these teams would be 12-4 heading into this game. Well, heading into this game, the Dolphins are 11-4, clinched a playoff spot, and the Ravens already clinched. So, if Miami wins, they clinch the AFC East. Also with a Buffalo loss, so to New England, which I don't see happening, but the Bills could come right back up and win the division. So, but I don't see the Bills winning the division either, but the Bills and the Dolphins play each other next week, so that's going to be if the Dolphins were to lose to Baltimore and the Buffalo Bills beat New England. So I'm picking the Dolphins there. The New Orleans Saints take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm actually going with the Bucs here. This puts them at 9-7, and the Saints, they will be 7-9. I think this would eliminate them from playoff contention as well. Dennis Allen as a head coach is 14-18 as of right now, because he went 7-10 in his first year, and now he's 7-8 right now. So this puts the Saints at 7-9. And the Buccaneers, this puts them at this puts them at 9-7, and I think this also means they clinch the NFC South and a playoff berth with a win. So I'm picking the Bucs here. The New England Patriots take on the Buffalo Bills. I'm going with the Bills here. The last time these two teams met, the Patriots won on a game-winning touchdown with like 15 seconds left. So let's hope that doesn't happen again. This is in Buffalo. But I am going with Buffalo. This puts them at 10-6, and the Patriots. This would put them at 4-12. Not really a good season for New England. You know, this is probably the worst season since 2000. They just can't win games. Their offense is anemic, and their defense isn't better. So, I just don't think, I just don't think that the Patriots are as good as they used to be anymore. So, but I am going with the Bills here. The Arizona Cardinals take on the Philadelphia Eagles. I am going with the Eagles here. This puts them at 12-4. And the Cardinals, this puts them at 3-13. And they'll probably land them a top spot in the NFL draft. Probably the second or third overall pick. But the Eagles, I think, are going to win this game here. This puts them at 12-4. But the 49ers need to lose in order for any of the number one seed to be, still in play. But if 49ers win, they clinch the number one seed. So, but the Eagles would be 12-4. This puts the Cardinals at 3-13. They're currently 3-12. The Carolina Panthers take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going with Jacksonville here. This still puts them in contention for the AFC South, even though I think the AFC South will be won by Week 18. The Jaguars have lost 4 straight. They're currently 8-7. It helped that Indy and Houston lost last week, so they're still number one in the AFC South. But I don't think they'll lose to the Panthers here. This puts them at 9-7. I think they'll snap that losing streak, and they'll beat the Panthers here. The Panthers will end up clinching the number one overall pick in the draft, even though it's not theirs. It's currently held by the Chicago Bears. So let's just see what happens in the offseason with that pick. I don't think they need Caleb Williams, but we'll have to see what happens in the offseason. So I'm going with the Jags here. This puts them at 9-7. The Panthers 2-14. The Las Vegas Raiders take on the Indianapolis Colts. I am going with the Colts here because, I think the Chiefs can clinch a playoff berth with a win. But this helps the Chiefs in more ways than one, because this will solidify their AFC West title. And as for the Colts, this puts them in contention for a wild card spot. This puts them at 9-7, and the Raiders, this puts them at 7-9. Even though I think they're going to hire Antonio Pierce as their head coach. So I'm not really sure about that just yet. But all these games are on New Year's Eve. So New Year's Day is reserved for, the college football playoff semifinals between Michigan versus Alabama and Texas versus Washington. So, but I am picking the Colts. This puts them at 9-7, and the Raiders 7-9. The Los Angeles Rams take on the New York Giants. I am going with the Rams here. I think the Rams can clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Seattle loss to the Steelers, which is very likely going to happen. So I think the Rams will clinch a playoff berth this weekend. And as for the Giants, this puts them at 5-11. The Giants are already eliminated from playoff contention, so they have nothing to play for. And as for the Rams, I think they'll clinch a playoff berth this weekend. So this puts them at 9-7. And as for the Giants, this puts them at 5-11. The San Francisco 49ers take on the Washington Commanders. I am going with the 49ers here. This puts them at 12-4, because they lost to the Ravens. I think Brock Purdy kind of had a bad game, but that's okay. I think he'll bounce back against Washington. That game is probably the easiest to win here. And I think if they win, they clinch the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. And as for the Commanders, they're eliminated. This puts them at 4-12. They'll probably get a top pick in the draft. They'll probably end up getting like Drake May or somebody. But yeah, but I am going with the 49ers over the Commanders here. The Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Seattle Seahawks. I am going with the Steelers here. This helps the Rams. This also helps with Tomlin's winning streak. This will be their 20th season. This would be their 20th season with a winning record. This puts the Steelers at 9-7 and still alive in the playoff hunt. But there's 18 teams need to be eliminated from playoff contention, so that won't matter here. But as for the Seahawks, this puts them at 8-8. So, not really that good, but at the same time, I don't see but I think the Steelers are going to win this game against the Seahawks. I think they beat them last time they played each other, so I think the Steelers are going to beat the Seahawks here. If not, they'll beat. I don't think they'll beat the Baltimore Ravens. I think they'll go 9-8 to finish off the year. So I'm going with the Steelers here. The Cincinnati Bengals take on the Kansas City Chiefs. I've been dreading this week for weeks, but both teams have less than 10 wins. One is 8-7 and one is 9-6. Hopefully the Chiefs get their act together, because they looked awful against the Raiders. And the Bengals kind of looked lost against the Steelers on Saturday. So I think the Chiefs are going to win this game anyways. This puts them at 10-6. And as for the Bengals, this puts them at 8-8. So I'm going with the Chiefs here. The Los Angeles Chargers take on the Denver Broncos. I am going with the Chargers here, even though they're eliminated from playoff contention. I think they can eliminate the Broncos here. This puts the Broncos at 7-9, and the Chargers, this puts them at 6-10. They lost to the Buffalo Bills on Saturday as well. But as for the Broncos, they also lost to the Patriots, so it's, I think they lose to the Chargers here in Mile High. So besides, they're benching Russell Wilson, so I don't think Jarrett Stidham is going to get it done. This is the year of the backup quarterback, as people have said. So just going to be Jarrett Stidham versus Easton Stick for the Chargers. But I am going with the Denver Broncos here. Actually, no, I'm going with the Chargers. This puts them at 6-10, and the Broncos 7-9. So, last but not least, we have the Green Bay Packers taking on the Minnesota Vikings on New Year's Eve night. I am going to go with the Packers here. Because it was announced that Jaren Hall is starting for the Vikings. Both of these teams are going to be either 7. One of these teams is walking out here with a losing record, so both these teams are 7-8. But I am going with the Packers here. This puts them Packers at 8-8, and the Vikings 7-9. I think this eliminates the Vikings from playoff contention as well. So, anyways, I don't remember who I picked. It's either the Packers or Vikings, but I'm probably gonna go with the Packers just because, you know. But anyways, no wait, I think it was the Vikings because I think the Vikings beat them the first time. So yeah, I picked the Vikings. But I'm gonna go with the Vikings here. This puts them at 8-8 and the Packers 7-9. So, one of these teams is going out with a losing record. So, anyways, that's it for week 17. We'll see you guys in the next video, week 18.